Donald Trump will be the last president. Donald Trump will have another term. Those are the rumors. But the whispers go deeper. Not just that Trump could be the last president, but that governments themselves may be dissolved. What comes after is already on the table. They call it post-nation governance. The systems we live in are being stress tested, and what comes next will feel wild, but it's already underway. Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated.
Alright, welcome back again to the channel. I am your presenter, the African Streamline, and I really welcome you right now, and I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel if you're watching me for the first time. And for those who are always coming back to watch me time and again, I really do appreciate. For those who are sending me super thanks and gifts, God bless you so much. May God grant you the desires of your heart. Yeah. Now, all of us understand and know that America is suffering and America is falling down. Just as it was prophesied, the Babylon will come to fall. And a lot of things are happening in America right now that, it's really not easy to manage and not easy to live under such conditions. Now, I came across this white man who is warning the black Americans that Trump is about to destroy America. And me and you understand one thing, that America is suffering indeed, and everything that is happening in America right now, a lot of people seem not to like what is happening in America. But if there are people to send warning to about the situation in America and the things that are happening in America, I think it is supposed to be the white Americans, because the black Americans, I think they're okay. Somebody said in the comment section in one of the videos that I was watching that the black Americans, Donald Trump is dealing with everybody and he's destroying everybody except the black Americans. He might have said it as a joke, but let me tell you something. The black Americans might be suffering, or might be amongst the people who are suffering in America, amongst them or in the middle of them. But remember one thing, suffering for the black people it's like something that is normal right now. And yet, I don't think if it's something that maybe can shake them or can make them or maybe feel like they are terrified or something like that, because they're smart. They are very much huge and ready to deal with difficult circumstances and difficult situations. And therefore, if there is a people you need to warn and alert them on what Trump is about to do in America, it should be the white people. I want to take a look at this video of this man speaking, and then I'll come back and say something about it at the end. Please don't forget to subscribe. Consider doing that. It's going to help me. Let's grow together. Okay, now as you're watching this video, prepare your thoughts, okay, and have them shared with me on the comment section. But until then, let's take a look at the video.
Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated. And if that's the case, then this is dangerous info. I mean, look around. Energy grids collapsing, food systems stumbling, parliaments in constant deadlock. Leaders suddenly look incapable of solving even basic problems. That's not just bad luck. That's stagecraft. The elites are trying to abolish governments. The reason why governments around the world look incapable in the past few years, it's not random. Not at all. Fact. In places like the World Economic Forum, the UN's development programs, and private think tanks, they are already talking about post-nation governance. A future where borders and politicians fade, replaced by algorithmic management. Smart cities run by code, resources distributed by digital overseers. AI not just assisting government, but being the government. Now, AI governance in itself isn't evil. It could mean fairness, efficiency, decisions made without human corruption, but only if it was neutral. Open code, public servers, oversight by truth, not profit. But that's not what's being prepared. Right now, the servers belong to corporate giants. The algorithms are written by private labs. Oversight? Nobody. Which means the people would be trading flawed governments for something worse. A control system you can't vote out, can't question, can't even see. Fact, the EU has already passed laws for AI oversight boards. Fact, the UN's 2030 agenda speaks of automated monitoring of resources and populations. Fact, defense departments are testing predictive governance models as we speak. The collapse of trust in governments isn't an accident, it's a setup. The replacement isn't democracy reborn, it's governance by machine, owned by the same few who hollowed out the old system. Everyone thinks the future is about innovation, AI, smart cities, green energy, but that's the cover story. The real future is about reducing the human surplus without a single bullet fired. And the system that is being built makes it look like progress. In the old world, humans were assets. More people meant more labor, more soldiers, more taxpayers. But technology flipped the equation. When automation does the work, people become liabilities. They consume resources and they produce nothing. From a corporate state perspective, they are dead weight on the balance sheet. Now, what happens to liabilities in any system? They are minimized, quietly, efficiently. You don't announce population reduction. You don't draft policies that say, time to eliminate 800 million people. You design the environment so people self-select out of life. First, you control food economics. Make real nutrition a luxury. Flood markets with synthetic hyper-processed calories. Why? Cheap to make, addictive to consume, and lethal over time. Obesity, diabetes, cancers. It's slow-motion euthanasia disguised as personal choice. And then you privatize survival systems. Hospitals, medicine, insurance. Turn health into a product, and when the bill comes and you can't pay, nature takes its course. No violence, no fingerprints. Meanwhile, you flood culture with distractions. War headlines, influencer drama, ideological cage matches, so no one notices the algorithm that decides who thrives and who quietly disappears. People think they are arguing politics, but in reality, they are debating inside the zoo enclosure, while the zookeeper holds the keys to their lifespan. This isn't genocide. It is market-driven selection, a corporate Darwinism where the unprofitable simply phase out. And the punchline? They don't kill you. They invoice you until you die. This is the most profitable extinction in human history. And it's happening in slow motion while everyone thinks they are free. If you want to see the future, don't look at science fiction. Look at the small experiments already happening today. Because the systems we live in are being stress tested. And what comes next will feel wild, but it's already underway. We are moving into a world where nations are not only divided by borders, but by information itself. China has the Great Firewall. Russia is building the Runet. The EU speaks of digital sovereignty. Soon your passport won't just decide where you can travel physically, it will decide what you can know digitally. Whole populations will be sealed into national intranets, and inside those walls, communities will be isolated into algorithmic silos. You can already see it on social media today. What happens in one community never reaches another. And then comes the economy. Central bank digital currencies are already being piloted. Once programmable money replaces cash, every transaction can be limited by category, by location, and even by your carbon footprint. Rationing will not arrive at your door with soldiers. It will arrive with a line of code in your digital wallet. And at the same time, information itself becomes synthetic. Entire leaders or movements may be AI generated and indistinguishable from the real thing. AR and AI media will allow two people standing on the same street to see entirely different realities. One sees calm, the other sees chaos. And this isn't fantasy, it's already possible. And protest itself? Crowd control is shifting from buttons to behavior. Sound and frequency weapons exist today. Now extend that forward. Emotional dampening at scale. A city where outrage never ignites because the very environment suppresses anger. Punishment shifts from prison to digital exile. You're free to walk the street, but cut off from banking, ID, and transport. Social death replaces physical bars. This is the trajectory. A world digitally and physically fragmented, where communities cannot compare notes, economies run on programmable scarcity, and consensus reality itself is manufactured. None of this is speculation. Each piece is already being tested. The wild future is built one quiet pilot program at a time. So the question isn't whether the future is coming. The question is who writes the rules of it and whether we accept the cage because it looks like safety. Stay close. The next glimpse is already here. You look at the West and you think we are living the dream. But let me show you the truth with numbers. In Europe, the richest 10% own about 60% of everything. In the United States, the top 1% alone hold almost a third of all wealth. And the bottom half together, they own just 2%. Now look at Africa. The richest 1%, just 1 in 100, own about half of everything. In South Africa, the top 10% control more than 80% of the country's wealth. Do you see the pattern so far? It's not you against us. It's all of us beneath the same pyramid. Yes, there are differences. Here in the West, poverty is hidden behind clean streets and credit cards. People live in houses that belong to the banks, drive cars that belong to finance companies, and buy food on debt. I know it looks like comfort. It isn't, and it's actually control. In Africa, inequality is even more visible. The mansions of the few stand out against the struggles of the many. But the design is the same. A tiny elite holding everything while the majority carry the weight. We are actually more alike than you think. You are told that we are rich, but most of us are drowning in debt, stress, poison food, and illusions. And we are told you are poor, but your lands are rich, your spirit is strong, and still the same sharks feed on you. So let's be clear. The problem is not that Africans lack or that Westerners have. The problem is that everywhere, the wealth of nations is captured by the few, while the many are told stories to keep them divided. So, you think we are your enemy? We were told you are ours. But the truth is actually simpler than that. We are all being lied to. And as long as we believe the lie, the pyramid stands. Right now, multiple regions are in open unrest. Nepal, France, Serbia, Mali, Iran. And they have different contexts, but the signal is the same. Societies have reached their breaking point. Human populations under stress follow a measurable cycle. First, adaptation. People absorb shortages, restrictions, and corruption. But when the perception shifts from temporary measures to permanent hardship, tolerance collapses. And that is the inflection point we are seeing. And once that threshold is crossed, protests emerge not as isolated events, but as collective declarations that the existing trajectory is no longer acceptable. At the same time, power structures are not passive. Crises can be exploited, accelerated, or even manufactured. In Nepal, the social media ban wasn't only a policy error, it was a trigger that activated a combustible population. In France, blockades are fueled not just by anger at government paralysis, but also by competing political forces who benefit from destabilization. In Mali, the junta's moves to dissolve parties are a calculated attempt to consolidate control, even at the cost of unrest. This is where geopolitics and human behavior converge. The grievances are real, but the ignition points are often managed. Leaders know that collapse can be functional. It resets the board, creates justification for emergency measures, and reshapes the rules of governance. Protest movements become both authentic expressions of discontent and instruments in larger strategic games. So we are looking at the hybrid phenomenon. From the bottom up, populations reacting to the erosion of dignity and resources, and from the top down, systems that tolerate or even encourage disruption in order to pivot a new order. The central question is not whether protests are real or engineered, because they are both. The critical issue is who harnesses the energy once it erupts? And if captured by entrenched power, the cycle of control tightens. And if it remains with the people, the trajectory shifts.
Even after being uprooted from the motherland, the black community really came out stronger, even after being pressed and beaten up and subjected through difficult kind of life and oppression and racism and segregation and all that. They still stood up stronger. Okay, sometimes they walk up, they go to the road, they demonstrate, they are carrying placards written hands off black people or our rights to be considered, but nobody ever cared about them. So these are people who have, for quite some time, for as longest time, they've really actually endured a lot of things. They've gone through difficult moments, and they now understand how to deal with difficult situations. They can survive in a difficult situation. Okay, and we know America is going to really fall, and what is happening in America right now is not something you can talk about, or it's not something that you love or you would want to love or me. But I think the black community are somehow safe because God is taking care of them. Black people have gone through difficult kind of life. You can just maybe threaten them with what is happening in America. What's happening in America is likely to destroy the Americans, and the white Americans especially. Okay, so when you're mentioning that Trump is going to kill America, you'd rather say Trump is going to destroy the white Americans, America and the white Americans. Of course, the black Americans, they also have a second home. They can come back anytime they want to come back home. And that is why I also say these people got advantage. Okay? But again, they've suffered a lot and they understand what suffering really is. So you shouldn't threaten them or make them feel like, or rather try to maybe try to like you're shaking them or you're making them terrified or something like that. You see, the black people are people who are very strong, and they've really gone through difficult kind of things. They've been used, they've been lied to, they've been beaten up, they've been brutal by the police, they've been arrested, yeah, they've been mocked, they've been abused all these years. They've been called criminals, they've been called gangsters, they've been called, I don't know, like thieves, many bad names, but they still keep on coming back stronger every other time and every other day. So I think the little things that are happening in America right now cannot really terrify the black community or the black people, okay? Because you can look at how black people have been surviving. They've been surviving through difficult times, and every time they tried to fight for their rights, nobody even tried to care about them. The same white people were just sitting there somewhere, they were comfortable, and their governments were favoring them at large. The black people were not being favored. They were seen as bad people all over, wherever they could go, okay? But they were every day they were training. Every day they were training. They were becoming smarter. Okay, they were adjusting to the difficult situations, to difficult life, and therefore, let Trump do whatever the things they want to do. But at the end of the day, the people who started all the bad things, the atrocities, the genocide, the lies, the theft, oppression, discrimination, racism, and all that, they're the same people going to face difficult moments, not the black people. So you better, I felt like this man would be, like he would be maybe specific white Americans, not the black Americans. I don't think so. Maybe if some of them are doing the same, but I don't know. Because I know blacks are very strong and they've really, really tried their best to make sure they're living better despite being subjected to difficult kind of life. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'll do my best to make sure I read the comments and give a response where possible. I am your president of the African Streamline. I'm going to ask you to subscribe to this channel if you've not been able to do so. And if you're watching me for the second time, for the third time, thank you so much. God bless you in wherever you are and whatever the things that you're doing. I tell you every day Africa is home. And anything that concerns Africa, concerns me and you, is black people. God bless. Until next time, peace be with you.